Well, welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for calling into this webinar. And it's more going to be like a conversation. You're going to be hearing our perspectives, myself and Lisa's, and we want to be hearing your questions as well. And we're going to be talking about a wonderful topic. I know a topic that's near and dear to so many of our hearts, which is our greatest time and energy savers. So you can have a streamlined, highly profitable business. And I know that's what we all want, right? We've created this business so that, yes, it can make a profit and a good profit, but we don't want it to overtake our lives. So let's talk about that, because there are some really great tips, techniques, habits that we can form in our business that's just going to make a world of difference. So as we go throughout, ladies, I'd love for you to be able to chat. Feel free to go ahead and chat in the chat function your questions. And we are going to open it up towards the end as well to have some questions. But feel free to be asking those questions throughout in the chat function. And I'm going to be peeking into the chat function and seeing what your questions are, and we'll make sure that we go ahead and get them answered. But again, we just appreciate you being here. And again, if you can't hear, make sure that you either click on that little green button, or this is the number to call in. And those of you, I know some folks might be calling in a bit later, 5-10 minutes or so. So I'm going to ask those of you who've heard this message, I don't want you to have to keep hearing my same message over and over again, is if you see anyone in the chat function that's saying, hey, I can't hear, if one of you wouldn't mind actually just helping her out, that would be great. And the easiest thing, again, is she could just press on the green button and she'd be able to hear us through the speakers of her computer. So we're going to just go ahead and dive on in. Again, I'm so excited to be here with Lisa, and Lisa is actually a business success coach, and this is her forte. This is her love. This is her passion. She's actually the owner of Tight Ship, and just so excited to be partnering with her to hear her expertise. And like I said, we're going to be having some things that are probably pretty similar, and some advice might be slightly different, right? What works for Lisa, what works for me, and we just wanted to start out with that's an important message as a businesswoman. We never want you, I'm sure all of you are sponges for information, right? Like I still am, where I love training, I just love learning, but we never want that to trip us up, where we think, gosh, but that expert said I need to do it this way, and that expert said I need to do it that way. Please know, listen to this information. What resonates with you, give it a try. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't worry. So I just wanted to go ahead and emphasize that just excited. This is going to be more like a conversation. We're going to be sharing our perspectives and our 2 cents on this topic. So without further ado, I'd love for you to be able to go ahead and meet Lisa. Lisa?
Well, thank you, Claire, so much. I'm excited to be on this call, and like you said, this is definitely one of my areas that I'm very passionate about. I love systems, and I love systematizing a business so that we can, really create more income because we have more time in our day to go out there and seek more high-paying clients and more time to work with the clients we already have. And that's what I'm really passionate about. I love helping women entrepreneurs, especially women who have been in corporate and for one reason or another are no longer working corporate or want to get out of corporate. And I work with a lot of women as well who want to work with it well into their retirement years. I think the landscape of retirement is kind of changing. Women and men, but primarily I work with women who, they don't want to sit back in their rocking chair and sit on their front porch after they retire. They want to do something that they feel passionate about, something that they feel a way that, a business where they feel like they can give back to their communities or to to the landscape, and that's what I love doing, helping them figure out ways to run their business efficiently, using great systems of time management, on and offline systems, so that they can create that business that they deserve and desire. And that's what I'm all about, helping them make their businesses profitable in less amount of time. And over here you'll see my family that I'm very proud of. I will share with you that oldest gentleman sitting up there, the oldest boy, sitting behind my husband there. He's graduating from grad school in 2 days, and
Yay.
He's passed his test. And so, yeah, we have family coming in this evening to celebrate him. And very proud that we were able to help him make that journey, and with the financial support that my business has allowed me to create and make happen. So that's just a little bit about me and my family, and my little love of dogs there. We actually have 2 new puppies coming home with us this weekend. So
Right.
yeah, we're so the boys don't live with us any longer. They're living on their own, but in college. But we have now we're the dog family here at the house.
Wonderful. Great. Well, I'm just so happy that you're here and sharing your expertise with us. And I know many of you know me. I saw a lot of familiar names, but some of you don't. Some of you are brand new to the community. So maybe you're thinking, who is this Claire character? And I am a mompreneur, and I'm passionate about helping other mompreneurs in particular. And these mompreneurs who especially have young children, and they're wanting to work this business, and they're wanting this business to be super profitable, but they don't want it to take over their lives. So who I help specifically are service-based entrepreneurs, those individuals who are trying to figure out, gosh, I essentially am my service, right? I'm helping people achieve transformations, whether these folks are holistic doctors or health coaches or organizers or web designers or virtual assistants, but they're trying to figure out, how do I do that? How do I package my offer? How do I price it? How do I market it? How do I get new clients that are a joy to work with? And how do I do that easily? And how do I do that in a way where this business is built around my family? It is super streamlined. I always like to say, let's streamline the heck out of your business. It's highly profitable. Like many folks, originally when I started this business, my husband was a high school teacher, and in North Carolina they make nothing, like below nothing. I think we're like number 48, we're the second lowest paid state. And so at that point, it wasn't, to make an extra 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I mean, I had been the primary breadwinner, and I know a number of you are like that as well. But you want this highly profitable business that gives you that freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do. Normally, historically, 6 months ago, that freedom was to have nights and weekends completely off, to be there, the mom that's volunteering. And the reason I say, prior to 6 months ago, I was telling Lisa that my husband and I, we have purchased a store. It's a storefront, brick and mortar, open 7 days a week. So now me being able to run my business streamlined has actually given me that time to pitch in and make our family business a thorough success. And last but not least, one way that I feel that so deep to the core of who I am is I only work with clients one-on-one, only, because I have found when we roll up our sleeves, we don't just learn, we implement. We get their entire business up and running, their marketing, their keep in touch strategy, their everything, their offers, their pricing, their website, that I am personally not satisfied until my client's business is completely transformed. So that's just a bit about who I am, that I've taken a stand. I don't offer I don't offer any longer info products group programs. I have found, and all of those are wonderful solutions, absolutely, but for me, I have just found that I can get that business owner where she wants to be so much quicker when we can work one-on-one. And what we're going to be talking about today, this is actually what you had signed up for. Let me make sure there's no technical questions. All right, great, good. Lots of new names in there. Great. Welcome, ladies. Again, you guys are all muted, so don't worry about it. Make noise all you want. When you've got questions when we're getting in the midst of it, feel free to go ahead and chat those questions, and we will be answering them throughout and also having time at the end. But what we're going to talk about today, you're going to discover how do you actually save time? How do you save 5 to 10 hours a week so you can have more time to enjoy life, whatever that might look like for you? To spend time with your children, to spend time with your animal children, right? To work another business, whatever that might be. And how do you get more done in less time? Because we're not talking about working harder, harder, harder. I'm not about that. I mean, I am focused when I'm working, but I want to get it done so I can like clock out, if you will, and get on to the rest of my life. And how do you streamline your business so it's running like a well-oiled machine? So if you choose to work part-time hours, you can. You don't need to be working 50, 60, 70 hours a week at all, but a lot of that comes down to streamlining your business. So let's talk about the very first one, how to save 5 to 10 hours a week. And Lisa, I'd love for you to share. What are your thoughts about how these ladies can do that?
Yeah, the first point here is about delegation. And it's not, for me, it's not only about delegating parts and pieces of my business out that I don't need to have my hands on. It's or things that I'm not brilliant at or an expert at, but it's really looking at our entire lives and figuring out what can we delegate to make our lives easier and to make our whole, our business run more efficiently, but our entire life. So, when I talk about delegation with my clients, of course, we get into talking about, what should you be delegating, and we talk about, the delegating things, like I said, that you don't necessarily have to have a handle on or a hand in. That could be, writing thank you cards to new clients. That could be, confirming appointments. That could be, creating some copy on lead pages if you're running a webinar program like this. And those things that, you aren't able to do yourself, but also thinking about things you can delegate that will free up time for you to do more things that you love. So, for example, personally, this past week, I actually hired a young high school gal to wrap my gifts. So that gave me more time to have, some time with my husband. This past weekend was our anniversary. We wanted to go out and do some things and spend some time together, and I was stressed out about those packages. So, it's thinking about what you can delegate both in your business and in your life. And there's even services around this now. In fact, I'm trying to think of one that's actually near you. Somebody told me about. There's a service. It's called, oh gosh, I'm going to lose the name of it right now. But it's, I'm sure you could Google it. It's something like Task Gal or something like that, Erin Gal or something. And it was in North Carolina. And I was, when I saw that, I was so jealous because, how nice to be able to send somebody to go pick up the cleaning and drop it off and just give you time to go out and take that walk, get that exercise in, focus on taking in one more client to make yourself more profitable. The other thing that I wanted to spend some time with is, talking about how you wrap up and end your day. One thing that I try to do, and it's not just focusing on my to-do list, but, if you prep for about half an hour to start your day and get ready and right on the right path in the morning, that half hour of prep can really help you create a lot more focus first thing in the morning and make you a lot more productive. So I mentioned your to-do list and figuring out, okay, what are the top 3 priorities? What are the things that I need to focus on during my, focus time on my business when I'm going to be working on my projects? And it's also, if you have materials that you need when you're doing that, if you have files you need to pull up, it's getting all of that kind of ready so that, one, you can jump into a project right away first thing, and 2, it really helps you get rid of that procrastination, because if it's really out there ready for you to go, it's set up on your computer, whatever notebook you need is there, your task list for the project is laid out, it just makes you much more efficient first thing in the morning. So I'm very big on, wrapping up your day with that half hour of prep. And it could just take you 15 minutes, but it's a period of time at the end of the day that I kind of schedule, and it's there every day where I kind of, clean up the desk a little bit, put projects away, but then also think about what I'm going to focus on the next thing in the morning, and then, or the first thing in the morning. And the other thing is to just be aware of those little time traps. One thing I tell my clients for sure is to always schedule their email check-in and responding, not to let that email just stay open on your computer all day long and letting the email lead your day. Because we all know that email is just like this big vortex where you can get into looking at emails, and then there's a link for a video on YouTube. Next thing you're looking up recipes and you're on Pinterest, and an hour and a half later, I do a presentation that's called How to Stop Being Busy and Get More Business. And the stats are overwhelming. I mean, people generally waste between checking their email, trying to multitask back and forth between projects, and what was the other thing that they said? Yeah, between email and the multitasking, they generally in social media lose about 4 hours a day. And so I guess my point being there with being aware of the time traps is to really make sure that when you're working at your computer or you're working at your desk or that when you're working that you're actually working. You know, sometimes we feel busy, so we think we're working, but we're not really focused on what we need to get done. So, you know, that's certainly a way to save some time is to start tracking what you're working on. And I think you might be surprised how much of the time you're actually sitting behind your computer, you're actually looking and doing something else that's not even related.
Mhm. Absolutely. I agree. And I think you can learn to love delegation. I think those of you who are listening, if you've never really done that yet, if you haven't like outsourced or paid someone to do something, you might be a little hesitant, right? You're thinking, oh, they won't do it as well as me, or I don't have the money for it. But once you go there to the world of delegation, you never want to go back. Like the thought of life without my virtual assistant who crosses my T's and dots my I's, and the amount of time on the weekly, she sends me her time weekly. I'm like, that was it? That all of that stuff for the week, it only took you 2 hours? You know how long that would have taken me and how much sanity that gave me? And then even like you mentioned, Lisa, even outside of work, I mean, one of our splurges is to get our house cleaned every week. And cleaning is not my forte, but I love a clean house, right? So that's sort of a predicament because I love it clean. Like I don't want any clutter. And so it's been a priority in our household. And oh my gosh, the time it takes saves me. I mean, I don't know when I'd fit all the time in to clean it. And the sanity and just the joy, you know, the smell. He comes Monday evenings, the smell of the house, you know,
Right.
when he leaves, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was just a little piece of heaven.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I remember when I started delegating pieces of my business to someone and logged on to my computer at the end of the day and I could see that she'd sent out thank you cards to some new clients, and when I do a one-on-one networking appointment, I like to send a card, thank you for spending some time with me today. And I could see that she had done all of that. Oh my gosh, it was so liberating. You know, it was just like, wow, that is, and I know that it's a scary thing to delegate. And one of the things I work with clients on is, and I did this morning with a client, we literally mapped out a flow chart for one of her pieces of her business, so that when this becomes then a worksheet or a check sheet that she can give to somebody she's delegating that project to. She's going to hire some project managers for a piece of her business, and so we're putting this together so that they can check that off, and she knows that all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, and that the project is being handled exactly as if it was being handled by her.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Great. And you were mentioning email as well and how much time is spent on email. And sometimes I've done like videos on this being like, okay, ladies, what side are you on the email spectrum? Are you that side where you're constantly in your email, you respond instantly, you think that's such like, you should get a golden star? Or are you on the other end of the extreme where you just like totally want to avoid it, right? You're like, I don't even want to see what's in my email, or you peek in, but you don't really process any of your emails, so it's like adding up. And I said that neither side is good. It's really a balance, that generally speaking, this is just a general statement, that generally speaking, what's in our emails for the majority of the time is non-money earning activity, right? So
Right.
The fact that we're responding instantly, that's generally not the best use of your time. So yeah, awesome. Great.
Well,
all right.
The thing about that, I'll say one more thing about the email, is that when you are responding instantly, remember that you're training your clients and customers. And so if they expect an email back from you right away, you're kind of setting that up as part of your, the way you do business. And I think it's much better. I mean, I tell my clients right up front, you can expect to hear from me on an email, certain times of the day. I check email about 10 o'clock in the morning. I check email usually right after lunch, and I check email before, going home or at the end of the day. So if it's not during the business day you've emailed me, you'll probably hear from me the next day. That's just something I kind of set up, but I, don't get yourself in that trap of responding so quickly that they then expect it, because then you feel like you're even tied more to your computer and you can't shut down at the end of the day.
Absolutely. That's so true. All right, so moving along, some of my thoughts about additional thoughts about saving 5 to 10 hours a week. And one, and I know proactively, you guys are probably going to give me the eye roll when I say create a schedule, but create a schedule that you love and simply show up. And the reason I said some of you might be giving me the eye roll is maybe either you've heard it or you're like, Claire, that's the last thing I want. I mean, the reason I left my 9-to-5 job, right, was because I wanted to have flexible hours and work when I wanted to work. But ladies, that's not going to cut it. I mean, it'll cut it if you want a hobby business. It's not going to cut it if you want a profitable business. Truly not. But the good news is, like, I had always been the hiring manager in recruiting, or I was the hiring manager at the last time that I worked at a law firm. And that was the first thing, that was the first expectation set up. Great, you're hired. Your hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30. But ladies, it doesn't need to be Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, or 9 to 5, or whatever that might be. That's the cool thing, is you decide, but decide. And I always start with my clients, I start with the rest of their life when they're thinking about this ideal schedule. All their other big rocks in their life. What's important to them? Is time with God and that morning time important? Is their exercise and their wellness, is that important? Do they want to be volunteering in their children's school? Dedicated date times for your husband. Like, what are all those other big rocks? And get that blocked out first. And in an ideal week, I'm not saying put this on your calendar every week. Just flush through what an ideal week could look like. When would you carve out time for your big rocks? And then when are you going to work? Are you going to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, from 1 to 9? Again, it doesn't need to be what everyone else is doing. But then you got to show up. And this is where the vast majority of businesswomen are slipping, right? Because they're thinking, oh, but it's sunny out. The pool is calling my name. Or I just don't feel like working today. That's really not a good enough reason. And as simple as this sounds, I don't know if any of you have read, it's one of my favorite books. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And he talks about, the difference between folks who get where they want to go and those who fall short is those who get where they want to go do these simple disciplines, and they do them consistently. Things that if you looked at, let's say you're at this seminar and the person's they're just doing phenomenal in their business and they're sharing what it took. And a lot of times there are things like this. I had a schedule. I showed up. And you're like, really? But for some reason, we don't put that into practice. So that, ladies, is huge. And when I say an ideal week, I know that, 80% of my weeks, or 80% of the time, it's pretty ideal for me. I'm able to work my schedule. And 20% of the time, life happens, right? People are sick or something, something happened. And my clients that are on the call know that I always grade myself on a curve. And if I feel like I'm doing something 80% of the time, that's a win in my book. That's an A plus. That's not a B minus like it would be in school. So if 80% of the time I'm working my ideal schedule, that is a win. And another thing, ladies, is become protective of your time and your schedule. I see way too many of you are too lenient when it comes to saying yes to other people. And I'm not saying this that we'd ever be rude about this. Now there might be an exception, like here I have some things. Let's think about a networking coffee, right? Someone wants to meet you for coffee, which is great. That'd be part of your marketing strategy. And there might be a time, especially if you're new in your business, and like I said, live networking is one of your core marketing strategies, that I would tell my client, go out, get out the door, meet as many people as you possibly can. But very quickly, though, into your business, we got to become protective. So when someone asks me for coffee, networking coffee, wants to meet one-on-one, that's great. But I'll look at my calendar, and I already have a networking meeting, one coffee event, one Friday. It's the first Friday of the month. So first I'll say, great, are you available next Friday? Or Fridays are my networking day. They're the days that I have more leeway. So maybe they can meet right before another networking meeting or right after. But if that doesn't work, then I'll say, let's just hop on the phone. You know, I'd love to talk. Let's sort of do a virtual coffee. Because if I was running out, you know, Tuesday, Thursday, whatever someone threw out a day and time, my business would suffer. It would suffer. And like I said, it's not rude at all. My personal appointments, you know, I'm going to get my hair cut on the weekend. I'm going to get my massage on the weekend. I look for people that actually have appointments on the weekend. Or if it's a doctor appointment, again, Friday is my day for my personal appointments. And so I'll say, great, when's your next available on Friday? And if that doesn't work, Monday's my fall down day, or my next day. And I know this can't happen every single, you know, there's one of my doctors, one of my dentists, he doesn't work on Fridays. You know, and I'm like, oh, why can't you work on Fridays? But again, the 80-20 rule. Phone calls, I have become friends with voicemail. I let my phone go into voicemail. Not that that person isn't important, not that, you know, that 20-minute conversation with, you know, my friend from high school wouldn't be great, but not during work time. Not during work time. I'll call tonight, because what happens is then if I take that call, it's not urgent, right? If it is urgent, I'll check my voicemail message and I'll call them back. But yeah, be real protective. And even when scheduling client appointments, I love my clients dearly, but it's very structured. My one-on-one mentoring clients, we find a consistent day and time every single week. It's either a Tuesday or Thursday. My clients that are beyond that 6 months that want to continue working with me, they get coaching call options on Wednesday, and it works. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I know that I'm not doing things like networking coffees or personal appointments. Those are my client days. So it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing to become protective of your time and your schedule. And my last tip here is I call it my sanity meeting. Any of you are David Allen Getting Things Done followers, he calls it your weekly review meeting. I call it my sanity meeting, same thing. It's Monday mornings from 9 to 11. It is my planning time. There's lots of things that I do, but at a very high level, one of the things I'm going to do is get my emails and my stuff, right, papers on my desk, get them down to 0 and processed. So there might be hundreds of emails that have gathered, you know, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What I'm doing during my sanity meeting, I'm not doing all the work that's in there. I'm just processing them. I'm getting them down to 0, saying, do I need to do anything with this or not? If so, what do I need to do? And when am I going to do it? Now let me get that out of my email inbox and move on to the next thing. Another thing I like to do is take a look at my calendar at last week. And a lot of times just by looking at the landscape of my calendar, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I met with so-and-so. I want to send her a thank you card. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. And I take a look at my upcoming week and sometimes even 2 weeks out. And I just want to make sure that I'm going to be prepared. So I might be like, oh, yeah, I'm presenting at such and such. I still need to create the slides. I need to, you know, print out handouts. So I get that all captured. So I am prepared. And then last but not least, I just create a game plan for the week. I'll see sort of when I have chunks of time and what will I work on during those chunks of time, you know, still leaving some breathing room within the week. But I go into the week feeling sane. And going with that 80-20 rule, there are times when I did not have that weekly review meeting. Like last week, I was telling Lisa, with our other business, we launched a track out camp. So it was the very first morning, you know, the parents were dropping off the kids, and I was like, you know what, I just want to be there and have it go really smooth. So that was during my sanity meeting, and I can tell you last week I felt less sane. So it's really important for me to have my sanity meeting, and it just makes the week go so much smoother. So good. So that's how you can save some time. Lisa, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to.
I wanted to just make a couple of comments and on what you mentioned. Great stuff here, and I do that meeting myself every Monday morning, and now I'm going to be calling it my sanity meeting too. But one thing, going back to the calendar that you showed and talking about showing up, and you mentioned, you know, it can be any schedule that you want to work. If it's 1 to 9, if it's, you know, 8 to 3, you want to get out the door early and have your afternoons. But also remember that you can change that schedule depending on the time of year. So, you know, for one, I do a little bit more of a schedule where it's early morning until late afternoon or early afternoon in the summer, because I love to get outside. for a little while in the summer, you know, during the daylight hours, and take that walk and enjoy some sunshine. So you can create that calendar to kind of flow with the year, which I think is a really important thing to remember.
Yeah.
And with your lifestyle. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, you were talking about the networking coffees, and I do the same thing, and my day is Friday as well. But I had this light bulb moment, you know, just like you were mentioning a few years ago when I was early on in my business. I would run for well, what else, when you don't have clients, you run from one networking meeting to another, and you have one-on-ones as much as you can to get to know people rapidly. And then it hit me, why am I running around from one Panera Bread or one Starbucks to the other across town? So what I started doing is inviting people to connect where I already was. So if I was at a Panera Bread and somebody wanted to meet with me for a networking one-on-one, I would say, you know what, I have a 9 o'clock appointment. If you'd like to show up about 10:15, you know, I would be happy to meet you at Panera because I'm still, you know, I'll be there just prior to that. So I ended up saving myself time driving around and gas in my car because I was spending a fortune driving across town. And then I love that you brought up networking on the phone. I think that having a cup of coffee this morning, I had a little you know, I Skype with my clients, and we were having a wonderful conversation, working on our business, and we were both sitting there with our cups of coffee. And you know, don't forget that there's those virtual tools out there that lets you connect and be connected. I think that that's a great way to streamline your business, so you're just not causing yourself all that running around.
Yes, I love it. I love that idea. So those of you where live networking is a big part of your marketing plan, I wish I had that idea back when I was doing a whole bunch of live networking. I could have seen then Fridays, that Fridays could have been my day out of my office, right, where I set up shop at a Panera or a Starbucks, and I worked there that day. So I could work there whether I had the one-on-ones or not, right? But if the one-on-one, like let's say that was every Friday I was there. That would be, that's wonderful. I love that. And I want to echo what Lisa said, that the schedule can definitely change. And you, again, are the boss, so you sort of have a conversation with yourself. Okay, life's going to change because the kids are out of school for the summer. Or for me, life's going to change, Claire, because your husband's buying a business, you know. So a 9 to 3:30 doesn't work any longer. So instead of me feeling, you know, sort of forcing it, or one great thing, those of you that are mompreneurs on the phone, one common thing I hear is, yeah, your kids are out for the summer, and you end up not readjusting your schedule, so you feel like you're doing a little bit of both, but you're guilty when you're at the pool because you feel like you should be with your kids, and you feel guilty when you're working because you feel like you're not giving your kids that attention. When life happens, or like Lisa said, the time of the year, adjust it. Again, you're the boss, so have that conversation with yourself. Okay, Claire, this isn't working out so good anymore. You know, that's okay. Let me create a new ideal schedule around my current reality. And when you can just have that quick conversation with yourself and readjust it, then you don't need to be guilty when you're here and not there, and guilty when you're, you know, there or not here. So love those ideas. Love it. Thank you. All right, so continuing the conversation, let's talk about how to get more done in less time, because again, we're not talking about just working harder and harder and harder. Let's talk about how to be super productive, though, without it taking hours and hours of our day. So Lisa, what are some of your thoughts about this?
One of the things that I really highly recommend is creating a focused hour to your day. You said in the last slide in your talking about your sanity meeting, how you plan, you know, your week and when you're going to be working on projects, and you kind of look at what appointments are coming up, and so you know your deadlines for things. And so your focused hour is really that hour where you absolutely turn off your email, your cell phone, let it go to voicemail, and that is your time that you just work on the largest tasks on your to-do list. And it's really thinking about which tasks are money-generating tasks in your business. It's really amazing to me. I call it my power hour or my focused hour, and it's really amazing how much I can check off that to-do list. And it creates like a momentum, flow, and synergy because when you can check off things and see on your to-do list that things are getting, crossed off, it creates confidence in yourself, in your business. So, it's really coming together for time where there's no outside distractions. And you have to look at your business and figure out when that focused hour is best for you. And with your your sleep cycle and your creative cycle, like if you're one of those people where 1 a.m. is your creative hour, that might be when you want to put that focused hour on your calendar. For me, it's very early in the morning. I'm a early riser. I get up around, anytime between 5 and 6. And that's when I sit down and create content for my marketing. That's when I, write scripts for my videos that I do. I'm writing a book. That might be when I'm writing and working on that book. But it's really that dedicated hour. So, and it's amazing. It becomes just like delegating, very addicting. I get upset when, 20% of the time my schedule doesn't go as planned, and I have to use that focused hour for something else. Because it's powerful to really see how much you're able to get done when all the distractions and there's no multitasking going on really can happen. And some of my clients have, brick and mortar businesses, and if that's the case with you, you really need to look at when can I get that done, that focused hour in outside of my business day, because once you open the doors, it's really hard to find an hour straight. So I have clients that do it just before opening. I have clients who do it just after closing. I have clients who have employees, and they have a rule about between 1 and 2, they're not to be interrupted unless the building is burning down or there's an irate customer or something, and they go behind their office door to work. It's about finding how it works into your creativity and your rhythm of your own personal rhythm, and it's about finding when it fits in for your business. And then I'm very big on blocking your schedule, meaning, and you mentioned this, and I love that too. I do this myself. I have certain times of the week that are open for client appointments. I have certain times of the week that are networking appointments. I have that strategy or that sanity meeting with myself usually on Monday mornings. That's my time to get myself organized for the week and like you said, kick off the week on a strong footing. But the other thing I block into my schedule and into my week is, when am I going to do my bookkeeping? When am I going to put some projects and things over to my assistant? When am I going to create some, I'm trying to think of something I do in my business. When am I going to create the content for my blogs? And I actually block that on my calendar, so I know what particular day is my writing day. I know what particular day is, my bookkeeping day, and then I block it even further. So down, if I have like 2 hours of office time, I know exactly when tasks are going to be done. The other thing is that it lets you become a lot more efficient. The other thing it lets you do is really let go of some stress, because every single day, our lives are moving so rapidly, and our businesses, that, we get emails, and, a lot of my clients reach out to me through Facebook private messages. So here's all this information coming in at us, and our to-do lists are constantly growing, But when you can put something on your to-do list and put it there as kind of a reminder that this needs to get done, but you know exactly when it's going to be handled, it creates a lot less stress, because, maybe at the end of the day you're like, oh my gosh, these 10 more tasks are now on my plate, but during the week exactly when you're going to handle that, and that time is set aside to do it. It really does take a lot of the stress off your plate too. Mm-hmm. And the last thing is about, we've talked about turning off the distractions, but I am really big on setting boundaries, because what happens is if you don't set boundaries within your own schedule and let your family and your clients know what your boundaries are, you lose control of your time. There's just, it just goes haywire. And so the first thing you have to do is set the boundaries with yourself and respect those boundaries so that everybody else will respect those boundaries as well. So, for example, I have, boundaries around in a couple of weeks this time of year. I take off a little chunk of time. My husband is generally off this time of year because he's a professor, and I have clients who, will want to meet and set goals, but I set boundaries around that time. It's sacred to me. I set boundaries to our week off on vacation in the summer. And it's really important so that your calendar doesn't control you, your clients don't control you. I want to be there and support my clients at every opportunity that I can, but we have to stop and remember that we are the CEOs of our business. And like you said earlier, I loved how you said that. You end up being a hobby owner rather than a business owner.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Love this. And when you talked about your focused hour, ladies, I have realized recently that I was like, wait a minute, I'm running out of time in my calendar to actually work on work, like on projects. Because if Monday is my, planning out day, and then Monday afternoon I'm getting ready for all of my clients that week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays I'm pretty much back to back with my mentoring clients. If Friday I'm out networking, like when the heck am I going to do this? So I've done a couple of things. One, I've realized, my main networking is on the second and fourth Friday. So the first and third, I'm going to block that day off for project work. And another thing that I've done is quarterly, about every 3 months, sometimes every 3 or 4 months, I take a whole week off in my business. It's a sabbatical. So our 2015, I already have my weeks blocked out, those 4 weeks in 2015. And I use them for different things. Like I used my October sabbatical for learning. There was a whole bunch of things that I had wanted to improve my skill around like YouTube, and so I bought, a couple of different info products, and I said, this is the week I'm doing that. It's a great week for me to do my big projects. So it's almost like a staycation. I mean, I'm working, but I'm not online. My clients know, hey, we're not having our calls. So I've had to do that just because I couldn't find this focused time, and if we don't have that focused time, we're just not, it's nearly impossible to move your business forward. And I also love what you talk about with block your schedule. And actually, let me, I'll go to the next slide because it goes off of one of the things that I was going to be talking about too. And it's really, truly transformational in your business. But one of the things with getting more done in less time is, ladies, I find way too many of you are working way too much, like way too many hours, like, working, let's say, X number of hours. And I'm like, but wait, what did you do? Like, what did you work on? And I think a big reason we feel that way, we're putting in the hours, but I think we're spinning our wheels. We're just not always sure. Okay, I'm sitting down Monday morning, but what am I supposed to be working on? There's a zillion things I can be working on. What should I be working on? So that spinning your wheels is just wasting so much time. And going along with what Lisa said with, chunking or blocking out time on your calendar and giving themes to your days. So I never question what I'm going to do on a Monday. I know what my Monday is. I never question what I'm going to do a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because I know what I'm going to do. I never question what I'm doing on a Friday. And think how you can give themes to your days. Like if you've got a type of business where you need to call leads back, and I know that sometimes that's not a favorite activity for some folks, but let's say Thursday was that day. You're following up with all of your leads on Thursday. What I wanted to piggyback on what Lisa said is you don't need to feel guilty Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday being like, oh, I need to follow up with all these leads or this stack of business cards or this or that. You are purposefully procrastinating in a good way. You're saying, no, I'm going to do that on Thursday. And again, it gives you that peace Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday without that guilt. Life's too short for us to have that guilt robbing our joy and our sanity. And then Thursday, you're in the zone, right? It's follow up with leads day, and you could just go boom, 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 and get so much done in a shorter period of time. So that piece is huge. Another thing is I keep saying, you know, these to-dos, like I was talking about during my sanity meeting, that during my sanity meeting, I'm going to generate a whole heck of a lot of to-dos, right? Things that I need to do because of emails that I was reading and I processed. To-dos because I want to be prepared for my upcoming meetings this week and next week. I also go along the lines of David Allen's Getting Things Done. My time management, I think, is a perfect, I blend Stephen Covey's time matrix with David Allen's Getting Things Done, and I also love to do the Pomodoro technique. So I sort of blend all three into my day. But David Allen talks about having what's called, I don't know if any of you are David Allen fans. If you are, go ahead and type in the chat function. Let me know if you're a Getting Things Done fan, or if there's a other time management model that you are a particular fan of. I'd love to go ahead and type that in the chat function, or let me know if you're like Claire. I have no time management process. But anyway, what David Allen talks about is what's called instead of a to-do, essentially it is a to-do, but it's not a daily to-do list. It's a master list of next actions. Things for me to do today, tomorrow, 2 Wednesdays from now. And I actually keep my master list of next actions electronically in a system that is my lifesaver. It's called IQTELL, IQTELL.com. All right, ladies, you're being shy over there. That's okay. I won't put you on the spot. But it's IQTELL, IQTELL.com. And so all of my emails are in there. I've got like 6 different email accounts, but they're all in IQTELL. So I do everything within IQTELL, processing all my email. From my email, I'm turning them into to-dos or next actions. And I actually slice and dice my next actions by due date. Not when something's due, but when I'm going to work on it. So again, if I'm following up with that lead next Thursday, I'll put that as the due date. So when I show up for work, if you will, I'll see okay, what's all the things that are due today? Again, not that they're due today, but they're things I'm working on. So I'm not spinning my wheels, being like, all right, there's so much to work on. What should I be working on? Mm-hmm. And last but not least, also in IQTELL, I've got my next actions, which are my to-dos, and I also have there's a section for projects. So my projects are those things that have multiple next actions, right? They're your goals, they're the things you're working on to move your business forward. Well, part of my sanity meeting, remember that Monday morning sanity meeting, part of my agenda is I take a look at my projects for that month. And I'll look at the projects that are on my plate right now, and I'll just say, now what? Now what? What are the very next steps, little actions I can take to move that project forward? And those next actions then become to-dos on my next actions list, and I figure out what do I need to do and when am I going to do it. So I think that's a big thing, is we just don't know what the heck am I supposed to be working on. So
Absolutely.
There's some thoughts. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
One of the systems I use, I've used it for a couple of years now that I absolutely love, is called LessAnnoyingCRM.com. And it's a system. Are you familiar with that, Claire?
No, I'm not.
And it's your system, to keep all of your leads, contacts, all of your vendors in and organized. But the thing that it does let you do is produce a daily checklist. So, like you were saying, you're now what? So you can go in on your calendar and line up a task, and then what happens is it populates that day for you. So your task list on your CRM is always current. The one thing I love about that is, for so many of us in the service-based business, part of what we need to be doing is picking up the phone and making those sales calls. And it allows me to be extremely dedicated and on time and with my appointments. So I've actually had, if I am on the phone with somebody and they say, I really do want to work with you, I would just like to, have a month or so to get something in line or whatever it might be, and can you call me back in 30 days? Well, I go in and put that phone call task, out on 30 days, and it pops up in my to-do list. I've actually had clients that have told me that they wanted to work with me because I was so great at the follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
you
Love
know,
it.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really great system. The other thing that it allows you to do is keep all of your client records right within their folders, you know, in the cloud online. Um, so it's a real complete system, and it's like $10 a month. I think it's still $10 a month. I haven't raised the prices in a couple of years. So if you're looking for a CRM and a task list that's online, you recommended the IQ Tell.
Mhm.
Yeah, Less Annoying is another one to check out.
Wonderful. Great. Good. So last but not least, ladies, we're going to talk about now how to streamline your business so it's running like a well-oiled machine and that you could work part-time hours if you choose. So Lisa, what are some of your thoughts about streamlining?
I think it's really important, first of all, to think about how you work best. I have a lot of clients who really don't like the online systems that are available. So you need to decide how you process and function best. Is it with, I mean, I have people ask me all the time, should I be using a paper calendar or an online calendar? And again, it's about your preferences and what you are going to be really committed to doing. If an excuse me, tongue tied there. If an online system for your calendar isn't something you're going to check in on a regular basis, or you're not going to schedule block your time, but you would rather use a pen and paper type scheduler, then that's what you need to be using. But look and really make sure that you are aware of what's out there. I think one of the coolest things about webinars like this and networking even is getting out there, and we're so isolated as business owners, you know, working by ourselves a lot, that we need to get out there and see what other people are using and ask those questions. I mean, if you see somebody send you a video and it's through a service you've never heard about before, you know, shoot them an email back and ask them to share with you why they're using it, or go on that site and take a look at it, because every single day there's things coming up. I mean, you just mentioned before our call this Edgar.com that I'm so excited to check out later today, that
Definitely.
helps you with your populating of your social media marketing. So, you know, I will almost guarantee you, if there is a system in your business that you need to put into place, that there's probably an online system to help you make it a flow more efficiently. And a lot of people are afraid of those online systems because they're afraid of client information being out there, you know, all of that kind of thing. They're putting things in Dropbox because they feel like they're unsure of the cloud. But you know, really, those systems are as safe and as secure as your banking is. I mean, there's just so much that can be done. There are people out there whose job is to, you know, sit and see how they can hack into things, and you know, we need to protect ourselves from that as much as possible. But you know, don't be afraid to get out there and start using some systems. There's some great things. There's Basecamp for project management. There's so many time trade type things. Timetrade.com is a way to have your appointments scheduled automatically with clients, and meetings to get set and made with you. But there's so many things coming down the pipe all the time. If you just get on Google and Google what system you need, you will find something to help you. And then, you know, remember to keep a regular schedule to your day, your week, your month, and your year. I love that you were talking about taking that week off to work on your business rather than in your business. Claire, that was such a good reminder. And I do that generally too. I generally have 2 weeks of the year that I do that. And like you, I kind of have projects laid out or planned that I want to work on during that time. That's really not time off. It's time for me to keep that momentum and growth going in my business. And because you need to have this regular schedule as well, because what happens is you get to the end of the year and you realize, hey, you know what, I maybe only took 4 days off this year, you know. you need to plan for those things. I mean, if you were working in corporate, you would have your vacation time calendared off. If you wanted to take your birthday off or your child's birthday, you would schedule that. So it's about, you know, making your calendar very efficient and streamlined and keeping that schedule very regular. And then just remembering that you are the CEO. And one thing that I like to talk about here is when you are in corporate and you know, see these big, large CEOs, something that they generally do on a real regular basis is make decisions fast. A lot of business owners keep themselves kind of stuck in one place or create a hang-up where they can't move forward because they can't make a decision. I guess one of the principles that I've heard over and over again that I kind of tend to follow is fail fast forward, meaning, you know, it's not that I rejoice and love failure, but it's about keeping yourself going forward and not being afraid of the failure as long as you learn from it. So sometimes, you know, if you make a decision fast and it's not the right decision, you have to go back, correct, readjust your sails and you know, continue forward. But, you know, making those decisions that need to be made. I mean, I have decisions that come down my pipeline every single day. I was sitting in a meeting yesterday and I started to tell the person that wanted to do a joint venture project with me, well, let me think about it and then I'll get back to you in a day or two. And I thought, why am I going to take the time to think about this? I know this is the right move. I'm just going to make the decision now. Yes, we're going to do this joint venture project together. So, you know, there's a lot of times where we create a lot of unnecessary time, you know, when we're not thinking like a CEO and making those decisions fast. And then focus on some clear-cut goals in your business. And I actually am putting a curriculum together for my first conference event in January, and a system that I'm going to be sharing with folks there is, you know, if you have 5 goals and you know the little steps that need to be done to reach those goals, having this sheet with your goals laid out. So one of the I'm trying to think, one of the ways that I'm going to demonstrate this basically is to take a sheet of paper and fold it into five columns, and at the top of each column you have your 5 goals, and you have lined up the little things that need to be done to reach those goals. So then if you take that piece of paper, instead of putting it into 5, you know, now fold it to 6, and that 6th column begins being your task list. So that's like your to-do list of the next steps, the now what's that you talked about, Claire, so that you can stay focused on those goals. So many times we have, you know, I have business owners come in to meet with me, and first thing we do is talk about their goals, their vision for their business, and they'll have 20 different items. But really, I think if you can, if you look closely at those 20 different items, they can really be pared down into just a handful. And really, a handful is about all we can focus on at once. Too much more is overwhelming, and it leaves us feeling stuck. And, you know, if we're working on more than that, I'm guessing or betting we're not able to do our best job on each one of them and give them the full attention that they deserve.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah, and Lisa, when you're talking about finding those systems, you mentioned time trade. And ladies, I swear by time trade. Like especially my clients that are beyond their 6 months and we're scheduling on Wednesday, I mean, if I was going back and forth with them, trying to find a day and time, oh my gosh, that could be a full-time job. So time trade does it all for us. And you'd also talked about goals. Now, ladies, every 3 months, one of my favorite processes with myself, one of my favorite planning meetings is to plan out 3 months at a time. And I was just telling Lisa that on Monday, I met with some of my favorite work colleagues here in the area, and we planned out our 2015 So I do that at the beginning of the year or the end of the year for the prior year, and I get so clear on where I'm going to be at in my business and even in my life at the end of the year. And then I chunk it down every 3 months, because part of the reason doing this is streamlining my business. I mean, every 3 months, I don't think we'll do that. I don't think we'll streamline our business, perfect it, bring it to the next level, unless we really make that concerted effort, or else we get stuck in that busy work like Lisa was talking about before. You know, business as usual. We're always sort of feeling like we're behind the 8 ball and, you know, putting out fires. And so part of what I ask myself every 3 months is I say, okay, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to work on the next 3 months, January, February, and March. And I don't want to work on just anything. I want to work on getting my business to that next level. So I brainstorm. I use this sheet, and I jot it down, and I brainstorm these 4 questions. First, I ask myself, where have I been procrastinating? You know, what's been nagging at me, like unfinished loops? I jot all that down. Then I take a look at my business, my sales and marketing funnel, my profit funnel, and I say, okay, where are things missing? Where is it clogged? Where can I do things better, perfect it? The top, you know, my marketing and my keep in touch strategy with my leads and converting these folks to new clients and servicing my clients. And so I brainstorm there, areas for improvement. The third column is which of my work habits might have tripped a bit that might be tripping me up. You know, what's been driving me crazy? And then the last thing is, where are my time and energy drains? Things that I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Or, oh my gosh, this activity zaps every bit of energy and joy. Or where are my systems broken or non-existent? And I brainstorm all of this, and from here is where I create my 3-month success plan. And generally in my plan, sort of like what Lisa said, I distill it, right? So I've got a lot of notes here, and then I distill it. For me, I create about 4 to 6 projects for every 3 months. And generally speaking, I like to give like 2 for January, you know, 2 for February, 2 for March if I can. So I'm only focusing on those projects for that month. And so that's huge. That just shows you that, ladies, this is a journey, right? It's not this destination that we arrive at where we're like, oh my gosh, my business is perfect. We're wanting to always find ways to do things better, to streamline, perfect, to cross your T's, dot your I's, automate as much as possible. And then the last thing I wanted to share here was when again, it doesn't happen without that concerted effort. You know, my 4 to 6 projects in my 3-month success plan is in one of the most important parts of, this is Stephen Covey's time quadrant. Quadrant 2, which way too many of us are spending way too little time. Quadrant 2 are those things that are so important for moving our business forward, but they're not urgent. So those 4 to 6 projects that I create my 3-month success plan, that stuff is going to get me where I want to go. However, I'm never going to hear someone being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't do that goal. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't roll out that project you wanted to do. That's not urgent for anyone else. This quadrant also that's important and not urgent is also your marketing activities. Those things that are so important but way too many times we put on our back burner because they're not urgent. Right? I'm not going to have a client call me and say, I can't believe you didn't send out your weekly newsletter. I can't believe you didn't make your 3 posts on Facebook. Right? So what happens is we put these things on the back burner, put them aside, and we focus on all the other things that just seem more important. So every 3 months, I make a concerted effort to streamline my business. But last but not least, ladies, Lisa had mentioned this before. I mean, part of it, like I just said too, is not this destination, it's this journey. You know, we're going to be this continual process of improvement in our business. So give yourself a whole bunch of grace, ladies, along the way, and, you know, see what works and what doesn't. Rome wasn't built in a day. Again, this is just an ongoing process, but one of the best processes I think that's available to us right now, because we get to really grow into the businesswoman and the people that we want to be. So with that said, I know we've got some gifts for folks, and we'll end the call, we'll end the recording, and then we're going to actually hang on for a minute just to see specific questions that folks have. But yeah, we just got some free stuff for you. And what do you got there, Lisa?
I would love to offer my profitability laser coaching call where if anybody would like to get on the phone with me for a half hour to talk about one of their biggest struggles that they feel like their biggest time waster and just sucking a lot of energy and time out of their day, and help them put a system around it, make it a repeatable routine that can be automated for greater growth. So if anybody is interested in that phone call, I would love to have the opportunity to speak with you in a little more depth about your business and that area that's causing that time drain or suck for you. And you can go to my time trade link is right there on the bottom. I've put some special appointments, a few this week and some out in the next couple of weeks. So take a look at the calendar and see what might work for you. And I would love to hop on the phone with you and look forward to, like I said, meeting you and helping you create, taking one of those biggest time drains away from you and putting a system around it. I hope that I could create an extra hour, help you create an extra hour or two in your day. So that's my offer, is to help you find a little more time that you can either spend on your business or, like we said at the beginning, doing the things that you really enjoy.
I love that. I want to take you up on that offer. So ladies, definitely take me up on that offer. We're actually going to be sending out the recording. We're going to include the link to Lisa's free gift, this complimentary conversation for you guys to hop on the phone. And then I also have a gift for you. I call it my profit funnel tune-up. So if we have not spoken and or haven't spoken in a while, maybe your business is pretty different, what I love to do with my clients is generally when the money's not coming in, their profit funnel is either non-existent or broken. Either the top part of their funnel, right, with their brand and their marketing message or their marketing plan or their marketing activities are simply not attracting the right person or enough of the right person, or maybe it's broken or clogged in the middle. They are working so hard on their marketing, but they have no way to keep in touch, to deepen that relationship with their list, to increase that know, like, and trust factor. Or maybe it's clogged or broken at the bottom. Their offers just are not resonating with their clients. They're like, oh, that's interesting, but nobody's ever signing up. Maybe there's something with the offer, or maybe it's something with the way that it's described on their website, their sales page, or maybe it's broken with that sales conversation, right, that conversation they have with their clients. So would love to take a look at your business and see how you can get this profit funnel up and running so you can have that profitable business. And you could just go to talkwithclaire.com, talkwithclaire.com. And again, we'll include that in the link as well. But ladies, we just so appreciate you coming on the call, and hopefully you took tons and tons of notes like I took tons of notes when Lisa was talking. And we're going to end the recording now for those folks who are watching the replay, but we are going to stay on the line. So if you need to go, feel free to go ahead and disconnect. But if you've got some questions, we'll go ahead and do that. We can actually you'll see that chat function there. So just go ahead and chat any of your particular questions, and I'm going to end the recording. So those of you who are watching the recording, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch soon.